on the track.
Peace. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. For those of you who don't know, it's your boy vicslanghope. And I have a story about dealing with domestic violence. So, I'm going to walk y'all through a little story and a little situation that I had to endure and go through, right? And once upon a time, I met this beautiful woman. And, she seemed so nice and sweet. And I'm not saying that to say that she wasn't nice and sweet. She was a nice person and sweet. But she also had other parts of her that was not so sweet and so nice. And, I met this person and we were courting and we was getting to know each other, etc., etc. And I would say this, right? Before I ever got into a situation where a woman was putting her hands on me or she was the aggressor and abusive, I used to always hear men talk about their situations and their experiences with women who will put their hands on them or who would just do crazy things, right? Like will cut up their clothes, will burn their clothes, will bleach their clothes. It was just a lot of situations that dudes put themselves in because they moved in with a woman or they were staying with a woman or she was staying with them, whatever the case might be. They put themselves in certain situations with certain women. And, it led to a whole bunch of other altercations, sometimes physical, sometimes, just headaches, unnecessary headaches, right? Sometimes emotionally abusive, whatever. So anyway, I met this woman. We was courting each other. She seemed cool. We was hanging out. We was getting to know each other. In the beginning, I wanted to be with her, right? I felt like she was nice. She was sweet. She was pretty. And I felt like, you know what? Maybe I should try to, be with this person. Maybe marry this person, perhaps. But then the person was saying that like they wasn't ready to be in a relationship. They had just came out of a relationship. I mean, they wasn't ready to be in anything, right? They had just came out of a situation. They they needed some time to like heal, to go through certain things, and the relationship with this person was abusive, right? So I was like, all right, cool. I respected it. I was like, makes sense. I respect it. And then like a few months later, I kind of like noticed something from this person that made me kind of be like, I don't know if I want to be in a relationship or marry or be in a situation with this person, right? I was kind of like, I don't know. I was taken aback by something that happened. I really don't recall what exactly happened, but something in the situation made me feel like I'm glad I didn't get into a relationship with this person. So now this person wanted to be in a relationship with me. And I was just like, nah, I wasn't interested. I was just like, not that I was not interested. I just was kind of like, I got to see more because now you showing me something else. And I got to make sure, what's going on here. So anyway, the person was like, all right. They didn't really take it that lightly. But they was like, all right, cool. I was just like, I wanted to be with you. You didn't want to be with me at the time. So now I'm kind of like, let's slow down or whatever. So anyway, as time went on, we kept going out to eat and stuff like that. And then I was on parole at the time. So I remember something crazy happened with parole. And I was thinking about running. So some crazy thing happened with parole. They switched my parole officer. I was staying in the shelter at the time. The shelter was trying to move me to the Bronx. I didn't really want to go to the Bronx. I was just like, I don't want to go to the Bronx. Like, I know people in the Bronx. I just didn't want to be in a situation that might get me in trouble. So I didn't want to go to the Bronx. And I explained this to the case manager or the supervisor. And she obviously didn't care about my safety or whatever the case might be. So I was like, all right, whatever. So I never went to the Bronx. They sent me back to Manhattan. And then after that, like, they switched my PO. And then, like, because I stopped staying at the shelter after a while. And then I was staying with this girl. So, like, I would just go stay over there, like, overnight. But, like, I was still trying to stay in the shelter and get my place. And then my PO was cool with me staying at her house and just having written down that I was at the shelter. And then, long story short, when they switched my PO, he told me, like, yo, this woman that you're about to get as your PO officer, she's not going to be in accordance with you, staying somewhere else when you're supposed to be at the shelter. So she's going to violate you if she don't see you at the shelter. So I just felt like I was in a situation. I really didn't want to move in with a woman. I felt like I always told myself that I seen the situations that other men was in, and I was like, I'm not gonna go through that. I'm not gonna put myself in that situation. So I thought about running. I called my mans and I was like, yo, come get me. He lived in a different state. He lived in Connecticut. And I was like, yo, come get me. Like, I'm out of here. And then he was like, yo, bro, you shouldn't run. If you run, you can't do nothing legally. Like, you know what I'm saying? You're just going to be stuck doing some street shit. He was like, I don't think you should do that. I was like, yo, bro, like, they playing with me at parole, the shelter. Like, I was like, bro, I'm out of here. So he was like, all right, it was snowing that day. He was like, yo, I'm going to come get you another time. So anyway, let me get back to the story. So I moved in. I ended up, slowly but surely, I ended up moving in with this woman. So when they switched my PO was like, look, I could either switch your address to where this girl is at, or I could leave it at the shelter and you take your own chances with this woman. And I was like, and then, you know, shorty that I was talking to, she was like, yo, just transfer the address here, like, you know, whatever. So I was like, all right, whatever. I did it. So when I did that, I started staying there. Everything was cool in the beginning. But then, like, her insecurities started coming out. You know, the problems that she had previously in her other relationship, whatever this guy used to do to her, because she used to tell me the things that he used to do to her, his insecurities, like check her phone, or just thinking that she was messing with other people, or cheating, or doing certain things that she wasn't supposed to. She told me that all those things that he used to, so basically she used to tell me all the things that he used to do, and those are the things that she used to do to me, right? So eventually she started doing little things like, I would come home from school and she would be like, oh, you was out there with some girls, you was messing with somebody, or you doing certain things. Like, you know, her insecurities and her trauma from her previous relationship, I feel like started to affect, you know, whatever we had going on. And then she went from that to like trying to look at my phone. Like, we'd be sitting next to each other and somebody would text me and she'll start like looking at my phone and trying to see, like, she'll be like, yo, who's that? And then my phone, the way my phone was set up, it's like, it won't show the whole name. It would just show like the initial. So if your name start with an S, or your name start with a D, or your name start with a P, that's all it would show. It would be like P, whatever. Because my messenger default app was Instagram. So, you know, if y'all ever had that, like, it just showed the little bubble with the letter. So she'll be like, yo, who that? And I'm just like, yo, like, you ain't never do that before. Like, why we doing this now? Like, why are we doing new things? Like, right? And I was like, that's my friend. But I would tell her, I'll be like, that's my friend. But I'm like, yo, like, what's up? Like, I don't do that to you. Like, people text you, whatever. So, you know, she started to do more of these things. She started to play more into these things. And then she started to get more louder and louder and argue about things that wasn't even existent. Like, you know, like, I wasn't even thinking about nobody else. I wasn't even really, like, seeing nobody else. But, you know, this was just some shit in her head, right? And then things progressed. So she used to yell, and I used to be like, yo, it's no reason for you to yell. So it went from, like, I used to tell her, like, yo, it's no reason for you to be yelling. Like, we could have a conversation like adults. And then she would continue to yell, and I would just be like, so the things I used to do, I should just leave. When I felt like she wasn't reasoning and she wasn't trying to hear me out, like, I would just get up and leave. So this is the things I used to do. And then eventually she started trying to stop me from leaving. So in the first physical altercation we had was that I was trying to leave and she was grabbing me. So she grabbed me up, yoked me up. She was like grabbing my hoodie, and like, she would grab my hoodie from the back and she was like twisting it like this. And you know, like, as you twist the hoodie, it starts to choke you. So she literally was twisting the back of my hoodie and it started choking me. And then she was pulling me inside the house. And this was like the first situation that happened. So she was pulling me inside the house and her bed was kind of low. It wasn't like a high bed like the average bed. It was kind of like low on the floor. It was one of those beds without the box springs, right? So she pulled me. She kept pulling me towards the bed. And then she pulled me, and then I happened to fall because she was pulling, and she was pulling like her weight. So she pulled me all the way back, and then like I fell on top of her. And when I fell on top of her, like my shoulder hit her like right here. And I remember, like, we used to work together, and I remember, like, we went to work, and she, you know, she was lighter than me. So she had like a little bruise right here. So it looked like I punched her, right? So it was crazy because when we went to work the next day, or when we went outside, like, I already knew people were automatically going to assume that I punched her or that I did something to her, right? Little did they know that she was the one that kind of, like, got physical in that whole situation. But she wasn't telling people, like, it was my fault. I was the one that was, you know. She didn't tell nobody nothing. So because, you know, so this is just the beginning. This was the first situation, right? She had a little bruise. It looked like I beat her up. or punched her or whatever. If people don't know, she definitely not defending me, right? Or definitely not telling them that she was the one that initiated it. So anyway, that was the first situation. So she started to constantly do this, right? And part of me stayed there because maybe I was comfortable, maybe I was like, it was better than being in the shelter, right? And two, I think the main thing was I really didn't want to just give up on her. Like I feel like a lot of times people are always people give up on people so easily, and I feel like I think that was the main thing. I didn't really just want to give up on her because I seen certain things, and I kind of like wanted to work with her, right? I kind of like wanted to be there for her. I know she was going through some traumatic shit, some triggering shit, but at the same time, I was like, damn, like this shit is crazy. Like I don't deserve this shit, right? But anyway, I think it was a combination of being comfortable and also trying to be there for her. So anyway, that was the first situation. The next situation, so anyway, these things started happening, right? It was just like she would get loud, I try to leave, she try to stop me. So this was like the thing, and she was the one that was always getting mad loud and also aggressive and like touching me, right? Like hitting me. I never put my hands on her. I was on parole. You know what I'm saying? I'm not stupid. And I had a whole bunch of patience, right? So one day, some crazy thing happened. I went outside and she was mad about, again, like she was just formulating stuff in her head, right? And then like I'm like, you can't argue with somebody who's making up stuff in their head, like, because at the end of the day, it's like if I'm telling you I'm not doing nothing, and at the same time we wasn't even in a relationship because I don't really do relationships, right? But we was courting each other, so I felt like she claimed she let me stay there on some friendship shit because she was looking out for me and she didn't want me to run, and then it became like on some she thought we was just gonna be in a relationship, and I think that also played a part in the dynamic, but whatever. So one of like the last situations that happened when we was, and it was again like I went outside. I went to go get some stuff, and then she was like, "Yo, if you're not back home by 11 o'clock, like don't come back." And mind you, it was like 11. It was like 10:55. So she told me, "If you're not back, don't come back." And I was just like, "Yo, that's crazy." So I was like, "All right, cool." I said, "Don't worry about it. I'm gonna go stay where I got other places to go. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna go. It's all right. It's cool." And she was like, "Oh, matter of fact, come get your stuff." And I was just like, "Nah, like it's all good. Like I'm gonna get my stuff tomorrow." And she was like, "No, come get your stuff today." And I was like, "Yo, it's mad late. Like I'm not going to get my stuff today." So she was like, "No, if you don't come get your stuff, I'm throwing it in the garbage." So I'm just like, "Come on, man. Like why we gotta play these games?" So she's like, "All right, so come get your stuff." So I'm like, so I pull up. You know what I'm saying? I pull up, and then like she started bringing my stuff downstairs to the lobby, and then she was like, "You know what? Matter of fact, come upstairs and get your stuff." So she started taking my stuff back upstairs. This I know something was wrong up there, man. So something told me like, don't go upstairs, leave. But at the same time, I didn't want her to just throw my stuff away. Like I don't know if she was gonna do it, but it's like, come on, you just came home not too long ago. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want to be playing those games with somebody playing with your clothes and certain things. Like, you bad enough you don't even have a lot of clothes. You don't want people playing with your shit. So, she's like, I'm going to throw your clothes out. So, whatever. I go upstairs. And that was the biggest mistake I made. I went upstairs. She got all crazy. You know what I'm saying? She was just wilding. Like, she grabbed a knife. She didn't try to stab me, but she was just wilding. She was just like, and I knew the moment I went in there and she just started wilding, like I just knew I should have never went back inside of our apartment. So anyway, she started acting crazy again. She's pulling me, she's hitting on me, and stuff like that. And she's again the aggressor. She's been the aggressor this whole time. So she's aggressing me. Aggressing me. So she's being the aggressor, right? She's being violent. She's doing all these things. She's putting her hands on me. She's yelling. The neighbors are hearing it. They calling the doorman. They telling the doorman like, "Yo, this girl is wilding. Like, yo, check on your peoples. Yo, they over there fighting." Mind you, the neighbors could never say they heard me wilding because I never used to wild. I used to be like, "Yo, look at you. Like, look what you're doing." Like, and I had so much patience back then, right? It was early on when I came home. So anyway, she going crazy. She going wild. So she was wilding. I was trying to leave. And then me trying to leave, I ended up mushing her, right? Like I was like, "Yo, get off me," because she was just wilding. Like she was just choking me, punching me, and I just like was like, "Get off me." And in that reaction, her head hit the wall, and now I'm sitting here in a situation feeling bad for her, right? Now I'm here in a situation like feeling bad because I'm like, damn, like, and I'm like, you see, like, what I'm saying? This is the things I was trying to avoid. Like now we in a situation where like now you're gonna be the victim, right? Even though you're the aggressor, you was doing all these things, all these different times. So now it just looks crazy, right? And I'm the man, and people are always gonna say like, "Oh, you should have had more control. You should have did this." But people don't really know what really be going on in certain situations, right? And I think like people just be running their mouth based on like what's the aftermath, not like really what's going on because they don't know. So anyway, after that, I took her to the hospital because she kept acting like she didn't remember certain. She didn't remember nothing. She kept acting like she had a concussion. And I say acting because I don't really know. I'm not really so sure. But anyway, I took her to the hospital. In the hospital, she kept saying she don't remember what happened. So I'm sitting there explaining to them. Now in the hospital, they think I just beat on her. They just think I'm just some abusive dude. I just beat on her. And then they end up saying like, yo, whatever. They was asking her. She said she didn't remember. And then I'm sitting there and I'm telling them. And then they give her a CAT scan because she kept saying she don't remember something. So they give her a CAT scan. The CAT scan came back fine, that she didn't have a concussion. So now parts of me is like kind of like thinking about it like, did she make this up? Or is it real? Or did she really not remember? Did she really have a concussion? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? God knows best. But she claims she didn't remember. She had a concussion. I know she had a CAT scan and it came back negative. So that was like the craziest situation that I was in. And then the funny thing is, they ran some other tests and some other exams on her. And then, you know, they said nothing was wrong. So the next thing that they did was they took her to like the psych ward, right? They took her like to the psych ward section of the hospital or whatever. And they told me to leave. They was just like, yo, like she's not coming back out. Like we didn't want to tell you in front of her because we didn't want her to wild out, but you might as well just leave. So I left. I was like, damn. So the whole time I'm just like, yo, something was really psychologically wrong with this girl. It was just crazy. It was just a crazy feeling to be in that situation. So anyway, I ended up leaving. I ended up getting a call back. They so-called misdiagnosed her or whatever. But anyway, I came back, got her, whatever. Fast forward, you know, things seem to be all right. You know, this was a crazy situation. We talked about it. We was like, yo, that was crazy. It should never happen. And, you know, we kind of was like, again, like I said, like, I don't want to feel like I just give up on people. Like at the end of the day, so many people give up on people, and I try to work with people through certain things. And maybe I stayed too long. Maybe I should have been left. Maybe that was just my fault, right? You know, kind-hearted people always get fucked over, right? So anyway, we end up fake hashing it out. We talked about it, and things seemed to be cool and sweet or whatever. And then like we had like a few months after that, like a month. It's probably like a month. Or maybe like 3 weeks. I don't know. But then we had like an argument. It wasn't even an argument. Because again, she used to just project a lot of the shit, right? And I know a lot of people going to say like, oh, it's always something else that somebody is doing. But that's not the case all the time. I swear to you. And we started arguing about something. And I remember she threw like a laptop. Or she threw something. Something she threw. It made like a little dent on the wall. And that was just my cue. Like I was just like, yo, I'm out of here. Like you just obviously didn't learn from what just happened. Like, you know, like you really didn't learn. You just threw something. You made a dent in the wall. Like I was just like, that's crazy. That could have hit me. Like, you know, I was just like, I was just out of there. And then when I tried to leave, the person didn't want to let me leave. They didn't want to let me take my stuff. Like, mind you, every time we used to get into arguments, this person used to be like, when you going to leave my house? You know, like, and it's like, that shit is like mad traumatic and like mad emotionally draining, right? Like somebody reminds you. Mind you, it's not that I wasn't looking. It's not even like I wasn't looking for a place, but you know, I was just having hardships because I have a felony. A lot of times places used to deny me because I had a felony and stuff like that, right? Or my credit wasn't up there, or I didn't make the rent as much as 4 times the rent, or whatever many times they want. So this is the type of situations that I was going through, right? So yeah, it was just a crazy situation. And so anyway, when I finally was like, yo, I'm leaving, I'm out of here, this person didn't want me to leave. Like, she's trying to hold my stuff, trying to play a game with my clothes. She started doing a lot of funny stuff, man. So I finally got out of there with like 2 bags. And then I still had like 2 bags left on most of my sneakers. Like, I was going to school with the same pair of sneakers for like 2-3 months. Like, it was crazy, man. Like, this person didn't want to give her my clothes. You know, she tried to act like I didn't want my clothes. Like, who wouldn't want their clothes and their sneakers when they leave? Like, she was just trying to play games. She used to be like, I'm busy. Like, it was just crazy games this person was playing. And then it was just like, but shit was just crazy. I don't wish this situation on nobody. But I'm just sharing my story because, like, a lot of times there's this narrative that it just be guys and the guys, and the guys just be beating on women, and the guys just be like, and don't get me wrong, there's situations where guys do just be beating on women and they just be the aggressors, but there's also a lot of situations where women initiate things, where women put their hands on the man first. They just happen to be the ones to call the cops, right? It's a saying that they say, nobody ever sees when you are provoked, just when you react, right? Like, they only pay attention to the reaction. They don't pay attention to all this shit that was going on when they was provoking you. So I'm just sharing that to say that, man, to share some light, because even with the Quavo and Saweetie stuff, like, it's like everybody was just talking about that clip, you know, and it looked like he was trying to leave because the bag was his Call of Duty bag, right? So it looked like he was trying to get the bag, but again, like, people see one thing and they automatically go crazy. Like, they seen that girl go to work with the bruise, and nobody gonna ask. I mean, people might say what happened, but like in the back of their mind, they like, this dude punched you, you know. So I just wanted to share that, man. Like, sometimes brothers is getting abused too, and sometimes brothers are staying. And if you're a brother in these type of situations, man, don't stay, man, because a lot of times the odds is against you. You know, she called the police the one time an accident happened, or you have an outburst, or you try to defend yourself. You know, you're gonna be on the losing end of the stick. So, you know, hopefully this story helps somebody. You know, like, not stay in those situations. I feel like I stayed too long because I cared about the person, and sometimes that keeps us in a certain situation or in a certain cycle of violence. So sometimes we just gotta leave, man. You know, because it's what's best for your emotional stability, your mental health, and just for you not to be in a bigger and greater situation. So if y'all like the story, make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, share, and let me know what y'all think. Peace.